Welcome to Bear and Balance. I'm Jeff Burkus. Other side of the screen, Lester A. Wiltfong Jr. Lester, the Chicago Bears walk away with this one. They win by 3 touchdowns. They had a 95-yard interception return for a touchdown. And then, I just turned it off after that. That's how it ended, right?
There was so many what ifs right at the end of that game. Kevin Byard had the big return. I mean, that was a ridiculous call. Of course, you talk about the Tremaine Edmonds. Should have been pick 6. Yeah, that should have been done and buried. But, the script writers of the NFL had something else in mind.
I mean, this was a crazy game for those of you that didn't watch it. It was crazy, but I do think the Bears got behind early. They gave up a kick return touchdown. We're gonna get into this, but they started the game off that way. So you're already down you're basically spotting the other team 7 points, and then they're sort of battling all day to get back ahead, even though they're really dominating this game, but the score just isn't necessarily reflecting that yet. But time of possession, first downs, the Bears are really moving the ball with relative ease, and then they're up by 2 scores, and this thing is over, right? And then all of the sudden, the Chase Brown barely touches Tremaine Edmonds. Otherwise, that's a 95-yard interception return for touchdown. And it's definitely over, right?
Yeah.
But, it's Bears ball at the 5. They run 3 times. They burn the Bengals timeouts. And then it's still over because once the Bengals, they don't have any timeouts left, and they cross the 2-minute mark. Once they cross the 2-minute mark, this game's over. I'm still wrapping it up. Everything's fine. They go down and score a touchdown. Okay, cool, right? You've cut it to 1 score. Congratulations, right? And then they hit the 2-point conversion. Okay, fine. You're doing the whole math thing where you got to go for 2 first. Good for you. Doesn't matter. Just recover this, kneel it 3 times. Let's get out of here. And then the Bears can't get out of their own way on special teams once again, and they kick the onside. And I wanted to make this point up top, Lester, because it was a bad onside kick.
It was.
It was an illegal whatever. It did not go to
the full 10. Yeah.
Right. So the Bears, if the Bears just sat down, literally just took a knee, it would be a penalty and the Bears just have the ball and they'd win the game. But they ran the play where the front guys run and are aggressive and block because they're expecting that double skip pop up type thing, and they're blocking for Rome to go up and make that play. It's a bad kick. It is just there's no way when that left McPherson's foot that he thought, oh, I'm on to something here, right? That was not planned. That's not how you go about doing that. He had a bad onside kick there, and it's just so unlucky for that to happen. And I understand when your assignment is to block, you're not probably paying too much attention to where the ball's at. I think you've got to be a little bit more cognizant of those things. But again, bad luck. The ball found his foot. Bengals recovered. They go down and score another touchdown. Again, I'm sure we're going to get into this. But then people are I don't know, the reaction here, was just oh my God, Bears, this is the worst. We all know what's going to happen now.
Yes.
This is the worst thing. And I'm there's a minute 12 and a timeout left. This game isn't over. They're down 1. Yeah. Let's see what they've scored 41 points. They've been moving the ball at will. I'm not too worried yet. And then of course the big, not quite walk off, but almost walk off touchdown to Colston Loveland. But emotions through that time period. You got anything before we get into the categories?
I mean, just, in years past, right? This would have been over, right? There's no way the Bears can overcome so many things. Yeah, it was a great game back and forth, but at the end of the day, they're not going to pull it out. Oh my God, the onside kick hit Hardy. Yep, there it is. That's the Bearsy thing to happen, right? But we talked about it during the winning streak, and then of course now here in the Bengals game, this is not the same old Bears. This team is resilient. They find a way to win. Ben Johnson talked about it in his post-game press conference or in his post-game locker room speech, right? If the game is close, we'll find a way to win, right? That's not a Bears thing. I mean, the knock on the Bears for years has been keep it close, they'll choke, right? That's always been the Bears, but not this team, not with Ben Johnson in charge. It isn't.
Yeah, my reaction was, well, okay, this is ridiculous. This is an insane thing to happen. It's, 1 in 1,000 type situation, but you got a minute 12 left. Let's go down and win the game. Like that's where I was at. Like I don't know what to tell you.
Plenty of time for Caleb, right? Got it.
If you were in your feels and already thought that the game was over, I don't know. It's a different ball club.
Yeah.
And this offense was moving the ball crazy. We're absolutely going to get into that. But the show always starts in the trenches. We are going to start with the big guys up front. And boy, Lester, if there was ever a category, if there was ever a game where you can go anywhere, where you go? I mean, I feel like we should name multiple. We should each get a couple.
I literally had 4 of the Bears offensive linemen written down.
Yeah, sure.
Just because, say
the offensive line. Just take the whole offensive line.
I would give it to him, but even Theo Beneday, right? He had his issues in the game, but there were some plays that there being a lot of clips are being shared on social media today.
Yep.
He was just dominant in some of these reps. So he had a big part of this. Yeah. The O-line, I'm going to go one guy. I'll go Darnell Wright just because, and this guy has just been coming on. He had the injury, a little bit of setback there. He has been really playing phenomenal football. He is definitely pushing for a Pro Bowl spot here. Obviously, if you're in the NFC, you're dealing with Penei Sewell. But I think he's playing at a pretty high level now. So, yeah, Darnell Wright, man, he's just playing good football. Ben Johnson talked about him when he came to Chicago. That's going to be one of his cornerstone guys. And Darnell Wright, man, he's good. He's good.
Yeah, you've got some good competition in the league with Tristan Wirfs, Penei Sewell. But, I mean – you hope by the end of the year the Darnell Wright, given some of these games and given some of the national type guys that are starting to pick up on this. I mean, we've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to start to see with the Bears winning more games, getting a little bit more pub. And, why is this? Well, look at the tape. Here's Darnell Wright popping off the page. Here's Darnell Wright taking a first round rookie and burying him with a pancake block, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff that he's putting on tape that is undeniable. And when the NFL social media website puts out a tweet of Darnell Wright pancaking a guy like that, they're not putting out a lot of offensive line tweets and they're choosing to put that one out. That's pretty cool. Right. Yeah. So I think, this is the first name I wrote down, right? We needed to make sure we talked about it. I think you could talk about Jonah Jackson.
Yes.
I think Jonah Jackson probably had his best game as a Bear. I think he looked good. Obviously, there's some things that we'll get to here in a minute that really reflects that. I think you could talk about Joe Thuney. I think you could talk about Drew Dahlman. I mean, I think, like you said, all those guys deserve some pub here. I think when we're talking about a unit that gives up, as many yards and points as they do, as they did, I shouldn't pick somebody on the defense, but I'm going to throw a curveball here, Lester. And I'm gonna say my guy, Big Bill.
Okay.
Why? Because he came to the defense of Montez Sweat when he was getting choked in some random spot and just stood up for his dude. And I don't know, it felt powerful and important. And I don't know, maybe it's a little meatball-y, but I'm like, there's my dude, right? Like that's my guy. Stand up for your teammate. Like you got to do that kind of stuff. And then, I saw Olin Kreutz got excited about that, and I'm like, all right, okay, yeah, sure. I'm in good company. Even if it's a little meatball-y, I'm in good company here. But, I love this guy, he big presence physically, but also just he's all in. He's a good teammate. He didn't get flagged. That's the other thing. He comes in and stands up for his guy, and they flagged the right guy. So that's even better. I mean, if he would have got flagged, maybe he wouldn't have got the trench tribute, but I love the play. I think that the Bears did okay stopping the run. They got carved up in the passing game. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. But for me, my trench tribute is going to go to Big Bill.
That's a good one. That's good. You mentioned the interior Bears offensive linemen. I'm not sure who Ryan Fowler is, but I saw a tweet of him. He covers the NFL for one of those national outlets. And he tweeted out about Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson gave up 0 pressure, 0 hits, 0 quarterback hurries through the game. So the Chicago's interior, they had things locked down. And then those are your 3 guys. And of course, we talk about the running game, and it's just like you said, the whole O line. Beneday had some issues in pass pro, but he is he's an active and a very fun player if you just watch him. He gives you 100% effort at all times.
Yeah, I think Baldinger had a clip out, and he's like, he seems like he's too tired to celebrate on the touchdowns, but he's going to give you all of the effort that he can. And I thought that's probably he's probably giving literally that every ounce that he has, and so he's not going to be able to run down and celebrate because he's barely holding on, right? Like, I mean, he's like fingernails, holding on to the cliffside, but. He's given everything because he knows this is an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so he's not going to take a play off. I mean, I'm sure some of these guys do take plays off from time to time, but he's not. Like, he knows he can't afford to do that. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think you could go pretty much anywhere along the offensive line when you have a day like this. I guess I wanted to be contrarian and pick out the D lineman because I figured you were going to show some love to the O line here. So. Let's move on. We've got a lot to talk about today, so let's move on to the social media portion. Sweet tweets, you start us off.
So our guy Zach Pearson covers the Bears for Bear Report. He tweeted out, Bears were 3-8 last season in 1-score games. In 2025, they are already 3-1. We talked at the top about the Ben Johnson effect, right? I mean, this is what he's done. I mean, the knock on the Bears in years past were they're going to blow it. Bearsy. It's a very Bearsy way to lose the game, right? That's how it was described. But 3-1 this year, 1-score games. I think the team is coming along right where it should be. Of course, the one is the Minnesota game where talk about games they had in the bag. I mean, that game was there for the taking, and some mistakes here and there. Some JJ McCarthy kind of went nuts and had his way with the Bears for a brief stretch there, but that's a game the Bears could have won. And 3-1. 1-score games. It's a different era in Bears football. And I don't know why there's so many fans still fighting it. They don't want to be all in on what's going on here. It's so strange to see some people, let's just wait and see. What are we waiting and see? Ben Johnson is the guy. He's in here. He's got this team playing pretty good football. The offense is humming. The defense has some problems, but look, they'll get things straightened out as this goes on. Yeah,
I mean, people are going to have to start paying us a lot more than what they do. Which is zero. They pay us nothing. But they're going to have to pay us a lot more than what they do if we're going to be their, psychiatrist. But it feels a little bit sometimes where it's like I can't make you happy. I can't tell you to be happy. If you want to be miserable, be miserable. But the scars of the past are past regimes, right? This is a new coaching staff. It's different, right? That these guys are different. They approach things differently. Their game plans are different. Their resiliency is different. Sure, some of the players are the same, but I don't know what to tell you. It's a new era, and I mean, I know that I was number one Ben Johnson fan, way before he was on anybody else's radar, but this is what I expected. This is what I expected. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been perfect. I mean, I thought he played the end of the first half sequence pretty poorly. I thought that he went for a pass play on 3rd and 3. Caleb got pressure, threw it out the back of the end zone. I thought he needed to treat that as 4-down territory, hand the ball off to Munungai, keep the clock rolling, make sure that the Bengals didn't get the ball back. And, it didn't play that way. The Bengals got the ball back. They went down and scored a quick touchdown, right? So, I mean, he hasn't been perfect, but he's been so much better than any other coach in terms of in-game strategy, planning, understanding player development, all that kind of stuff. He's not overextending guys or anything. I mean, there's so much good here that when you're picking nits, that's what it is. I would have played this, I would have done this thing different. I would, I can point to a couple things every game that maybe I don't like. Right. But that it was like with the last era, it's like, where do I begin?
Yes. Right? Every week, something to complain about. Yeah.
So this is, it's a new era, guys. just embrace it. And I also I don't love the framing of how some people are talking about this game, oh, man, they're just lucky. It's like, I mean, they were really unlucky to have been in that situation. Yeah. I get it. The secondary is in rough shape, but they had a minute 12 in a timeout. I'm not that surprised. All right, mine. I went to Nate Tice. He's at Nate Tice. Nate underscore Tice, I should say. He says the most explosive offense in the NFL so far this season. You guessed it. The Chicago Bears with the 14.1% explosive play rate per True Media Sports. So, one, you're going rate because that evens everything out. So it's not necessarily a raw total of most explosive plays. Two, I believe that their calculation of explosive plays is probably a 10-yard rush and not a 20-yard rush, which is how I track it for the step differential. And I do that because that's readily available data. 10-yard runs are not readily available. But even having said that, the Bears offense has looked really good in terms of explosive plays. Their defense has been giving up a lot, so it does look like even. This should not surprise you too much, though, if you were following what Ben Johnson's all about and what he has done the last 3 years, putting together the best offense, 3 straight top 5 offenses. So over those 3 years, the best offensive football in Detroit. It's not surprising. He understands how to balance the run game and the pass game and blend that with play action. And he understands how important big chunks of yardage are for scoring and for offense and all of those things. He understands this. This is why I love him. This is why I wanted him in Chicago so much, because he calls offense the way that I think it should be called in the modern NFL. And already 9 games into this thing, the Bears are number 1 in the league in explosive play rate.
You got to stress the defense, right? The running game is one way to stress the defense, because just pound and pound and pound. That's old school, right? But like you said, in this day and age, you need some explosives. You got to push the ball downfield. It's really a throwback style, because like way back in the day, there wasn't a lot of dink and dunk. The West Coast offense kind of changed things, and so much dink and dunk now. But Ben Johnson he wants his quarterbacks. He did it in Detroit. He wants them to push the ball downfield. He wants to come off those play actions looking downfield, right? He's talked about in his press conference how each play has different primaries set up for the quarterback, and he calls his play sheet so he makes sure he changes things around. It's not always the one guy he's going to. He wants to make sure the primary and the secondary are different each play, because he wants to keep his whole team involved. He wants Caleb to play point guard, take what the defense gives you, which he's still working on. But one of the best offenses for the explosive play rate, no matter how you do it, 10-yard, 20-yard, no matter what you're looking at, the Bears are getting it done. And it's so strange. It's the Bears. Yeah.
I mean, these are exciting times, right?
Yes.
And the most, the important thing to think about for long-term is that the thing that is most replicable year in and year out is offense, right? Like you can have a high-level defense and they could fall off the next year. Like that's highly volatile. What's more replicable is high-level offense. And so if this system and how he sees the game and how he calls plays and how he sequences plays and all that leads to this result. This is, in my opinion, the best way to play football in the modern era. And we've already seen some pretty darn good results out of it. And this is one indicator here. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. I was really excited to see that, because I didn't know where that was at. But we got so many stats.
We do.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Caught up in a numbers game. Next category. I had a couple numbers that I wanted to play, but like I'm curious where you went. You started.
So I got 2 numbers this week. My numbers are 2 and 10, right? And we've been talking about Ben Johnson a lot tonight on the show. So you already talked about how in Detroit his offenses were top 5, pretty much. It got better every year he was calling plays in Detroit. So 2 and 10, my numbers. We're almost halfway through the year. It's a 17-game season now. So it's a pretty good time to look at some trends, right? 2, the Bears are second in the NFL in rushing right now. 144.4 yards per game, right? That's obviously been helped out by this stretch post-bye. But look, that's Ben Johnson going into his bag, realizing, hey, let's tweak some things after the bye here. Post-bye, their numbers are ridiculous, like 184 per game. It's just nuts, right? Okay, well, the passing game. Everyone complains about the passing game, no matter what. They're 10th in the NFL right now, 234 yards per game. Your top 10, this is just yards now. We're not talking EPA. We're not talking, right. The analytic, the fancy stuff, but just the pure yards. Second in the league in rushing, 10th in the league in passing, this is a top 10 Chicago Bears offense in the first year of Ben Johnson. And look, the talent's not where it's going to be eventually, but right now where they are, that's pretty damn good.
I think it's interesting that Caleb's on pace to break 4,000, which would be the first time that a Bears quarterback has done that. And he hasn't had a 300-yard game yet. Like, he's not buoyed by some like 400-yard game or anything crazy like that. It's just like consistent, like solid numbers, running the offense, the running game. And it's not because they're in shootouts every week. Or it's not because the running game can't do anything, right? Because the running game's really come on here. So like, he's on pace to have the best quarterback season that the Chicago Bears have ever seen. And he hasn't really had like a crazy game yet in terms of just like volume numbers. Like that's kind of insane to think about, right?
He had 4 last year, right? 4 300-yard passing games last
year. 4
year.
300-yard passing games, which is tied for the franchise record for most in a single season. And I was like, well, he's going to break that this year.
Yeah.
And he hasn't. I mean, at this point, he's not going to. All right. And that's fine because the offense is functional and balanced. And yeah, it didn't look great week 1 against Minnesota, but I don't know how long people have been watching football because these things usually take a little time.
Yeah.
So I'm loving it. I know the Bengals are trash, but they did what you're supposed to do against a trash defense.
Yes.
And speaking of, my number is 283. That's the number of rushing yards that the team had yesterday.
Yeah.
That is the most in a single game in the 2025 season. No team has run for more yards than the Bears did yesterday in a single game. So this like, oh, well, the Bengals are trash. A lot of people have had their shot at the Bengals. And the Bears rushed for more than every other team. And their quarterback still had 280 yards passing, right? Like, I mean, this like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this was an amazing performance. It was an amazing performance because all 5 offensive linemen played really well. The receivers are buying in, the no block, no rock. Those receivers were all making good plays. They're digging out safeties, right? I mean, Zacchaeus had a block on the defensive end that sealed him around the corner. Like, I mean, they're buying in, right? The tight ends, everybody's buying in to this thing. And Kyle Monunga gets his first start. They gave DeAndre Swift the week off with the injury, and he's a hard runner and running downhill. And I loved that I started to finally see I saw a tweet. Somebody put it out and said, basically, yeah, hey, like this guy was drafted in the 7th round, but it's a super deep running back class. Yeah. And I'm like, thank you. Like I'm so sick of how we immediately forget all of the things that we learned in April and May and immediately just be like, he's a 7th round running back. So he's not very good. Remember, 7th round running backs don't do anything. It was a deep class.
Very deep.
He might have been a much higher pick in a different class, right? So he's finally up to speed in the offense, which can't be easy for a rookie to learn, even at the running back position. He's comfortable in pass pro now. Ben feels comfortable putting him out there, letting him, be the feature back. And he has 26 carries, 176 yards. But it wasn't just him. Britton Brown comes in, practice squad guy. He's got a big touchdown run, right? Caleb chips in some. DJ's got the run for the touchdown. A lot of rushing yards. And that's just like a demoralizing type of thing to do to a defense, right? Like there's one thing to get passed on. It's another thing to just pin your ears back and go forward and just bowl them over. So to me, I thought my thinking was 283. That's a lot. Where does that rank this year? And so I looked it up and sure enough, highest output of rushing yards in the league this year through 9 weeks.
You only can play who's on your schedule, right? And if you get a team that's on your schedule that has a poor defense, you got to put it on them. The Bears put it on them, 570 some odd total yards, just ridiculous how good this offense was. And as the game is progressing, right, I'm seeing social media complaining about the offense. At one point, the broadcast team was complaining about the offense. And at that point in the game, the Bears had already put up 34 points and over 400 yards. And I'm like, this guy's complaining about this Bears offense not being functional. You're the color analyst of this game. I don't want to get too much into these idiots, but what are they even watching here? It's like they have their own set things in mind. The same with some Bears fans are watching these games, waiting for the shoe to drop. I had people in my mentions and a few of the things I was looking at. They said, "Oh yeah, it was a lot of yards, but it's all them trick plays really padded the stats." All these trick plays, there were two, right? I mean, one went for 2 yards, one for 20. Okay, who cares? And then Ben Johnson was asked about the trick plays in the game. Why do you have a few tricky things? There was the Cole Kmet pass too that didn't work and rights, but why do you have so many? He's like, well, we had a lot of plays to run. They ran a ton of plays, so he was in his bag trying to pull out different things, and that's what you want to see. It's only too cute if it doesn't work. When it works and it gives the defense something to look at, something to think about, it's effective, and it was effective in this game.
I don't know what's going to make people happy, but one, to address what you're saying about Archuleta and this crew, the criticism, the advice that he was giving was like something you would give someone who, I don't know, is playing like college quarterback, or like it was basically like, if your first read isn't open, tuck it and run. And I was like, wait, what? Like, how is that what you want to see out of him? That's an insane thing to say.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand what that was all about. And then just like the overall criticism of Caleb, it just seems like there's nothing that he can do at this point that's going to win some people over. And I don't know. We got to just like move on, because we're not bringing everybody along with us. We're going to lose some people. Like, okay. I guess, right? Yeah. Like I made the joke to you at one point that some people are really excited to see Tyson Bagent throw the one pass. This is what we get, 20-yard average, right? They're probably pretty pumped about that one pass.
He did have a better passer rating than Caleb in the game.
Yeah, 118 to 114. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But Caleb also caught that pass, and it was a 20-yard catch. So it's an explosive play.
It is.
So Caleb has an explosive catch, which is pretty exciting as well. So we're talking about Caleb. Let's talk about him. Caleb's corner. Let's move into it. 20 of 34 for 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He took 2 sacks for 9 yards. So a little more work for you this week. You've had some 1-sack weeks here.
Yeah.
He had 5 runs for 53 yards. He had another nice run that was called back on a penalty. And he had 2 catches for 22 yards and 1 touchdown. So one was a 2-yard touchdown and one was a 20-yard explosive play. I don't know what kind of line that is. Like, that's an insane thing to talk about, but a lot of people are focusing on Joe Flacco's 400 and whatever yards. And it's something. Joe Flacco had 2 interceptions and lost a fumble. He had 3 turnovers. Caleb had a clean sheet.
Yeah.
And so he continues to do a good job, take care of the ball. I mean, maybe he should take more chances. Maybe that completion percentage is a little low. I don't know how to be that much critical of this line of 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, chipping in positive yardage in the run game, over 10-yard average here. And then, and the creative plays coming through and catching both passes. Like, this is a fantastic game from your quarterback.
It's like, why is the bar so high for a Bears quarterback from our fandom and even from the national media? And like, why is the bar so high? Like, other quarterbacks around the league, they have stinkers every now and again. Patrick Mahomes just last night, right?
50%
passing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these things happen from time to time, right? Quarterbacks don't always hit all the throws. They don't hit every single layup. You want that, okay? But we talk about the numbers. It's historic. No other player in NFL history has ever had a game with 275 passing yards, 50 rushing yards, and 20 receiving yards in a single game. No other player in the entire history of the NFL has ever done that. Also, he had one other first ever. He had 20 completions and multiple catches in a game. No other player has ever done that in the history of the NFL, right? And you got some fans, he missed that one gimme at 3:24 in the second quarter. Why do you miss that pass? What? It's like at this point, you're trying too hard to be the contrarian. You're trying too hard to find something to bitch about. What are you? Enjoy the game. Enjoy what you're seeing right now with the greatest quarterback probably in the history of the Chicago Bears franchise. Yes, Sid Luckman was a Hall of Famer, but that's, no one saw him play. I'm pretty old. I never saw him play.
I mean, I've seen footage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't around.
He is on the way to set all the records.
I mean, it's coming, right? Like, I mean, and that's the other thing too, is the arrow's pointing up, right? Like I kind of put it out there, to our X's and O's guys, Bobby Peters today. And it's like, look, man, I think there's a lot of meat left on the bone. Like, this is great to see all these explosive plays, but I feel like we're just kind of like, we're on the rise. Like, this feels like the tide's rising. And he was like, I agree. Absolutely. Like there's a lot of plays that are still left out there. And it's exciting. Like if you view it from the perspective of new offense, new pieces, getting things together, and going back from week one and like looking at the progression of what's happening here, it's building. And we're an instant gratification society. I understand all that, but it really is showing progress throughout the year. Caleb is growing as a quarterback. He's still, what is he, 22, 23 years old? He's still a young man. He's still, so someone say something about comparing him to Matthew Stafford. I'm like, Matthew Stafford is almost certainly a Hall of Fame quarterback. Yeah. He has been gun-slinging the ball in this league for a long time. He's awesome. And he's now been playing with Sean McVay for a few years now. They've won a Super Bowl. He's really good. Yeah. Like, I'm not sure I want to compare Caleb to Matthew Stafford yet, right? I feel like give him a little more time to learn more things and get into this. People, but I think people want to like, well, he's not this yet. He's not this. And so therefore he's not going to get there. It's like, I don't know, man. I'm seeing progress. I'm seeing progress every week. It's a young man. We just had that Colston Loveland versus Tyler Warren conversation last week, right? What are we thinking now?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like, got to give these guys a little bit of time and see this offense work. So I'm really pleased with what I saw, Caleb. I thought this was a really fun game. I get it. There's enough people that are contrarian here, but I don't know. I look at these numbers. I looked at the game. I watched it live. I watched it again just before the show. This is fun. This is fun. This is what you want to see your quarterback do. He's continuing to improve. He's making plays. He's doing some of the little things well. He's doing some of the big things well. I think that's only going to increase and improve.
You talk about rewatching the game. I'm usually alone watching a game. My family's walking around, but no one really at least bothers me during the game. I'm pretty loud during the game when I'm alone, right? I'm cheering, I'm yelling, whatever it is. Just, something happens, I'm excited. On my rewatch, I blurted out some excitement watching the end of the game. It's like, I knew it was going to happen, but it was just so fun to see happen again. I'm like, Colston Loveland got that pass and took it to the house. And it was just like, it's fun. Let's have some fun here.
It's good stuff. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Other side of this, we're going to get to everybody's favorite segment, the Three Bears. Stick with us. All right, Lester, Three Bears. I said on Twitter earlier today that if I don't know that there's ever been a game where there's been more obvious cold bowls of porridge to give out and more obvious hot bowls of porridge to give out. This felt like there were so many just obvious candidates for those two categories. But I think that there are two super obvious candidates for the hot bowl of porridge. I'm going to let you start off and take probably one of them, unless you surprise me with a curveball here.
Yeah, I think we had a couple rookies here that kind of stood out. The 10th overall draft pick and then the 200 and whatever it was, 40-something draft pick. I'm going to go Colston Loveland, right? Biggest game as a pro yet. Targeted 7 times. He had 6 catches, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns, and of course, that 58-yard game winner. And just as impressive as what he did in the receiving game, he is blocking his butt off for this offense. I'm watching that game, and look, my eyes are drawn to him, right? Because I love the position tight end. I like watching those guys play. He's doing his thing out there. I mean, he is blocking, he's holding the edge, he is double teaming, going to the second level. I mean, he's doing what he has to do in this offense, and he's still a rookie. Look, we talk about the comparison. People are trying to say, oh, he's not Tyler Warren. Okay, well, Tyler Warren is 2 years older. Tyler Warren is going to be a really good football player. So is Colston Loveland. Just an outstanding game from him. And look, I think as this year goes on, you're going to see him become more and more of the primary. I talk about how Ben has his play sheet styled up to where he can make sure it's spread around, but he's a mismatch, right? He's too big for corners. He's too fast for linebackers. I think Colston Loveland has got, I thought when he was drafted, he has Pro Bowl potential, right? And I still see that. He's not just a joker tight end. He's not just a move. He is a complete tight end. He's a damn good football player.
Yeah, I mean, he, was a little banged up in camp, in off season, right? Like, so, when you get behind a little bit as a rookie, I don't care how talented you are, it's tough to hit the ground running. And then, he has been banged up a little bit during the season. Like he's missed a little bit of time there too. So, he hasn't had the healthiest rookie year, from the start. So that has maybe put him behind a little bit. Plus he's a younger player. Plus this is a new system. Everybody's kind of figuring it out. Like there's so many things here, guys. Like, again, like not everything's perfect in September. And this was his breakout game. And, obviously the exclamation point there, but that first touchdown was a great throw, by the way, from Caleb.
Yes.
We kind of glossed over that one, but that great kind of just bullet throw into him. I think he could be the real answer in the red zone. I think first of all, both of these guys, my guy's going to be Monangai, but like both of these guys, I think could be the red zone answers that they've been really needing here. We talked about Swift not being the between the tackles type of guy. Clearly Monangai is, and he can do that work. A lot of times you need that sort of guy that can move the pile down in the red zone, but you also need that little mismatch guy, a big mismatch guy. And that's what Loveland can do for you. So, these rookies coming on here in the middle of the year, first of all, not unique to these guys. That happens all the time across the NFL. Yeah. A lot of times it's the middle to the end of the year where rookies start to really get integrated into the offense because they've had enough time to adapt. Their play sheets have, responsibilities have gone up. I'm sure that if Luther Burden was healthier, we would see his plays increase as well. So, none of this should be surprising for those of you that have watched more than one season of football, that this is what happens with rookies, is that they get integrated in and then their talent starts to show. And so, Monangai for me, 26 carries, 176 yards on the ground, an excellent day. It just seemed like every play he was moving the pile, making a guy miss. I mean, he had a lot of missed tackles that he was forcing. Just phenomenal. Had a 39-yard run, which was a pretty run. I mean, it's the longest run from scrimmage for the Bears this year, and a highlight reel that's going to be played, with the 2025 highlights. It was a fantastic run at a nice time. Had added a couple catches for 22 yards. So, I don't care when he was drafted. Like he's a football player that can contribute to this team. We've been about that the whole time. Like we've been trying to remind people, like, hey, this guy's talented. Who cares? Is a deep class. This was how it played out for the Bears. They were interested in potentially moving up for Ashton Genty. Like we heard that rumor, like that maybe they would trade up for Ashton Genty, and obviously the Raiders took that off the board. And then they were interested in Henderson and some of these other guys like that maybe could fall to their first pick in the second round. Didn't happen. Then they were interested in Scadaboo, in the start of day 3, that he got taken before the Bears were on the clock. Right. So there's multiple like areas in the draft where the Bears were interested, but that doesn't mean that they don't like this kid. That doesn't mean that this kid doesn't have talent. And that doesn't mean that this kid would have been a 7th round pick in other drafts. So like, who cares where you're drafted to? Like Terrell Davis was undrafted and he's in the Hall of Fame. Like these things happen too. So let's give this guy. Yeah, I think he's a Bears fan favorite already, right? Like,
for sure.
It's a very easy thing to fall in love with a guy that's running as hard as he is and moving the pile. But like, let's like forget about the draft pedigree stuff, because it doesn't matter anymore. He's wearing navy and orange, and he's contributing positively to the game. So yeah, absolutely, those two guys got the game balls. And before I saw that clip, like I think everybody can obviously pick out these two, but I think we're going to feature these guys on the Hot Bowl.
Oh, for sure. I'm not sure who tweeted. I wish I would have caught that, but someone compared some of the stuff Monangai did in the open field to Matt Forte, and the way he was explaining it was, when you're able to have such a quick cut, you're changing the angle of defenses of pursuit. Right? He did this several times in the game, where you expect him. Yeah, I mean, coming out of he's a really hard runner, a tough runner, right? Hard nose. That's what you expect. Even though he's a smaller guy, that's kind of what he does. But he's shifty. Right. He may not have the 4.4 speed, but he's ripping off chunks, right? The explosive plays, he's ripping off chunks because he's just so shifty. He has subtle movements, going through the hole. And then once he gets in open field, he knows how to set up his blocks. He's making moves. He's fun to watch. I mean, look, he's probably going to be, I think Swift's going to get his start when he comes back, but you're going to feature Monangai more and more as this year goes on. And I think that works best for Swift too. Keep Swift fresh. Let Swift be more of the third down passing guy and more of the outside run guy, because now you have Monangai come in there as a good complement to what he can do. It's a very similar to what Ben Johnson had in Detroit, right? You want two different styles of runners. I had someone who coaches defense tell me one time before that it's hard to game plan against two different styles, because it's aim point of a linebacker. It's where you're looking to go. It's how they set their blocks up differently. And Swift and Monangai are very different, and it's a good compliment for the Bears.
I love it. That's good stuff. Let's flip it around. Cold bowl of porridge. Again, I think there's some obvious places to go here. Where do you want to go?
I have a feeling I know where you're going.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about the passing defense.
Okay.
Look, they gave up. They gave up. Joe Flacco, look, he has had a nice run here, right? Obviously, he's in the twilight of his career, but 470 yards passing from a guy that is that age with a sprained AC joint, first of all, I'm surprised he was able to play and then even finish the game. But to throw the ball as much as he did, as good as he did, kudos to them. But also, the Bears secondary was bad. They had guys open, they were falling over themselves at times. And yeah, there's some injuries back there, right? You're bringing a new guy in at your nickel back, so he's still kind of learn the scheme and learn the system, learn what his fellow defenders are doing back there. But pass defense was rough. You want to see more pressure on Flacco. They got a few sacks, but you got to get after the quarterback more, and that's been a problem for the Bears. So the pass defense, I'm talking about the whole thing. Getting after the quarterback, the defensive backs in the secondary. Pass defense, they get that big old gigantic cold bowl for me this week.
Yeah, I think that, the pass rush and the secondary, a lot of times you can blame one or the other or both. I mean, I think you can certainly blame both, but to me, it felt like secondary more so, because a lot of free runners that Flacco was finding, a lot of guys getting beat, off the line pretty quick, some penalties, like not turning around for the football, just some sloppy corner play. And it's really on the corners, right? I think that the safeties, I'm not enough of an expert to be able to tell that on the broadcast view for sure. It's hard enough on all 22 to kind of decipher that stuff. But it felt like it was really corners they were doing that. And that kind of makes sense, right? You're down on your depth chart. Stevenson is back, but first game back from injury can be an adjustment, and you're maybe not fully back. Right. So that was part of it, but that was a very, very disappointing performance. But again, they did turn the ball over, right? They were able to force some turnovers when it mattered. They got a second one late with the count, the last play of the game. But I absolutely would have caught that too, right? Like take that interception for the stats, and
it's always knock it down. And those defensive backs, no, that's an easy catch.
I'm gonna catch this, and because that just goes on your stat sheet. No one's going to remember that in 5 seconds. That was just the last play of the game. That goes on your stat sheet. So, yeah, absolutely. That's the obvious one, I think, for that. And then, obviously, I got to go special teams. I mean, starting off the game in the hole with a
Oh,
kick return touchdown is brutal. And then their second opportunity, they kick it to the other guy, Samaje Perine, who's like a fourth string running back. I mean, he's just a guy. He's essentially Britton Brown, who got a kick return. I don't know how in the world Britton Brown got a kick return for this team, being on the active roster for 5 seconds, but it's essentially what it was. And he got like a 48-yard return. And it was like, I mean, this has been a problem all year. Obviously, we've been calling it out for a while. This isn't the first time we've talked about special teams. We probably talk about special teams too much on this show. I understand. But this is why it's important. They almost lost this game. You had the onside issue. You had, a missed field goal from Cairo. You had a second one that was saved because of an offsides penalty, right? So there's a lot of problems. I think Taylor has been pretty good since the first game, first game, he did not have a good overall game, but overall he's been pretty good. But a lot of the problems, and I think they're misplaced on him, it's been the coverage. Like the Gunners aren't winning.
yeah.
The coverage just haven't been good. It's been a little better lately. Maybe there's the personnel has been, finally figured out for that. And that has improved, but nothing else has improved. The other return, the return units aren't great. And then of course the one big return that they did have got called back from penalty. And then, there's been too many blocked field goals. There's been too many, it's just like, name it all. The Bears have had it on the bad on special teams. And it just goes back to Richard Hightower is not Ben Johnson's guy. I just don't see how he's here next year.
That's what it seemed like. I mean, look, I was glad Richard Hightower was brought back because all the analytics that you looked at, there was like, there's still people that do some of these special teams ratings. Of course, there's the DVOA and Richard Hightower's units last year were all fairly positive. I'm like, okay, well, that's a good guy to bring back. I mean, he knows the team, he knows the roster. You want to have a few of those guys on staff, and it's not working out, right? It's just, like you think about what could go wrong. It's happened. Everything has been going on this year with this thing. You talk about Santos, and look, his leg has been a problem. Everyone knows that, but he's very accurate inside. They're not all kicks are big booming kicks. You got to have a guy that can kick a kick. And it's great if you can get a guy that can nail a 55-yarder, but if half his kicks are off balance there, but what the hell are you going to do here? So I don't think Santos is going anywhere, but I think this is definitely going to be his last year in Chicago. They're going to try and do a Augustus silence thing at this point in the offseason. It's going to be Richard Hightower. I think it's going to be also his last year in Chicago. But look, they get Amin Agbangbiglia. Did I say it right?
No, you did not.
Damn it. I'm so close. They get him back this week, possibly. So he's a core special teamer. They got Travis Homer back last week, another core special teamer. So, maybe they'll start to kind of put things together here. But yeah, they've got to be better in special teams because it's the third phase, right? I mean, as Bears fans, we should know, right? Lovie Smith preached the third phase all the time. You got to have a good third phase. There's 3 phases to a football team. And that one has been letting this team down.
Almost lost them in the game. I mean, that if the Bears would have lost, that's where the fingers would have been pointed first in my mind.
Yeah.
It would have been those plays because you just can't get them back. You just, if nothing else, you're just trying to play neutral on the special teams. That shouldn't be this gaping deficit that it was. So, all right, just right. When you have a game like this where there's so many extremes, this is a little hard sometimes, but I have a couple names written down, but I'm curious to hear what you have first.
I'm going to go with the newest Bear, CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Okay. CJGJ.
So look, I had a feeling he was going to start at nickel. I had a feeling, look, you're missing your guy. It's not like he's some guy off the street that hasn't been playing a long time. He was just in camp with the Ravens. He was with the Texans all during the offseason. He played 3 games with them. So he's coming in shape. Once he was up to speed and he understood what he was doing, he was going to get out there. So, 6 tackles. He had a sack. He had a tackle for loss. He was active, right? His energy helps, right? It didn't help as on the scoreboard and keeping them off the field. But as far as the Bengals go, they moved the ball at will. But look, for his first game in, he played about as good as I thought he could play. And as this defense settles in and they understand what he can do and what he brings to the table, and hopefully some guys get healthy too, they kind of get some guys back. I think him, and as I know as Bears fans, when they saw the signing, oh my God, you can't sign that guy. But look, I hope he's an asshole, right? I want him to be chippy because now he's a Bear. Annoy the hell out of the other team. That's what you want. You need those chippy guys out there. And I think it was a good signing, and I thought he had a pretty decent game.
I might have been one of the rare Bear fans that took his side in the Javon Wims, Anthony Miller BS, because I was like, cut these idiots. Like, especially Wims, when he just went after him and just started swinging. I don't care what you said.
Yeah.
It's an insane thing to Wims, particularly insane thing to do, because he just ran over and basically punched him, and then he just kind of looked, and then he punched him again, and it was like, what are you doing? So to me, I was like, cut Wims, right there, and a lot of, EJ at the time's like, that's a dumb thing to say. Don't. You're not going to cut your guy. And I'm like, this is the moment where you make an example. This is the moment where you stand firm, because who cares about Javon Wims? He's not doing anything for your football team. Get him out of here and make an example, because he lost you that game. And good for CJ at the time. That's the kind of thing you want to do. Get under the skin and draw a big penalty and change the course of the game. Right. I don't know what happened, but he's sitting on the bench, and their punt returner runs over into the Bears bench and starts jawing with him. And I was like, what could he have possibly said?
He's just annoying. He gets under your skin. Yeah.
There's he's just minding his own business. He's just sitting there on the bench, and all of a sudden he's already in an argument with the opposition. I'm with you, man. Once he got let go, I was like, oh, this is an obvious sign.
Yeah.
And it took a couple weeks, and it took another injury. But when they brought him in, I thought this is the most natural thing in the world. He played for Dennis Allen. This is about as good as you can expect to get in terms of a talent to add to your team. He's not a great player. He's not even a good player, but he's a player that can play. He's a serviceable player at this point in his career. And as long as he's not drawing 15-yard penalties, this is a positive for the team. So love that you're calling him out. I did not have him written down, so I love that. I'm gonna go again. I don't know if I'm being contrarian here, but we got to talk about Austin Booker. Comes back, has a strip sack, and immediately making his presence felt. And it was not a speed rush. Now, if it was a speed rush and he got a strip sack, still great. I'm happy about that. But it was a long arm. This was a counter move for him. So, his rookie year, his flashes, why we are excited, why everybody's excited about Austin Booker is he's got speed and he's got effort, right? And he was a speeder on the edge guy. But if he's adding those counter moves to his repertoire, then he's got a chance to be an impactful rusher, because you can scout one move and expect it, and you can neutralize it if you're a decent tackle or better. But if you've got now multiple moves, now you're a threat to actually get consistent pressure on the quarterback. So that was not only the fact that he got a sack and forced a fumble and big play, but the fact that the move that he used, I was very excited to see. And his role just got a whole lot more visible and increased, because Deo Adengbo announced today that he'll be out for the rest of the year with a torn Achilles. So Austin Booker is going to get a lot more snaps.
I'm guessing he's going to start now for you. He's next up in the depth chart. There may be a trade coming. We heard, Jay Glaze reported, yesterday on Fox that the Bears have been pretty aggressive and looking for defensive help. He doubled down and said probably going to be more defensive line. And now with Odengbo out, you need an edge, because, who do you have right there? Daniel Hardy can get some pass reps for you, but I think he's better where he is in special teams. So a move may happen, but regardless, it's going to be Austin Booker. And look, preseason, he was fun, right? He showed a way bigger toolbox than he did as a rookie. I mean, he's always had the speed. He always had the long arm. He had a couple things he would do in college you watch, but he's very raw. He didn't know how to put nothing together, right? Rookie year, he was fine. I think he had a sack and a half. Preseason, you saw him in those couple games put things besides the effort, which is always there with Booker. You saw him putting moves together. You seen him doing different things. We saw a spin. We saw the long arm. We of course had the speed rush. So I'm excited for Austin Booker. I always say don't temper your expectation. I tempered him a little bit with Booker because look, he's still a 22-year-old guy coming out. Sure. Really young rookie when he was drafted. A lot of potential. But, based on what we saw as a rookie, you're like, hey, he's still got some room to grow. Preseason happened. Yeah, okay, it's fine, but it's against guys that are, really aren't in the league much anymore. Let's wait and see what happens. And, of course, the injury comes and it's like, that really sucks because, he had a chance, and now here he is going to get a chance now, a bigger role with Odangbo out. I like it. He did what he had to do, right? He came in, gave the team a little bit of juice off the edge, didn't play a ton, but played enough to make his presence known on that team.
It's going to be playing next week.
Yes.
So, all right. That's what we got. Anything before we get out of here? Maybe stick around for a few comments on the YouTube.
That's just a fun game, right? I mean, it was enjoyable watching that game. I try and stay off social media during the game. I used to be on it quite a bit during, but now I just kind of do what I have to do, kind of just to tweet a few things out here and there, just to kind of help run the site and stuff. But too much negativity, This team is 5-3, first year of Ben Johnson. Caleb is growing like he's supposed to grow. There's a lot of fun players to root for on this team. Shut the hell up with being, contrarian about everything. It's we're fans, right? And then we're Caleb missed this pass. Okay, it's gonna happen. He also did something that no other player in the history of the NFL has ever done.
It's been around for over 100 years. What
the hell are you complaining about? Jesus.
But he didn't throw a perfect ball at 6:08 in the second quarter. So, I hear you, man. It's an interesting time to navigate. Let me put it that way. But my expectations, I think, are being met along the way, and I think that the growth is there, and I remain excited. And I think if you just start looking at the stats around the league, you're like, oh, wow, the Bears are up there in these offensive categories. That's weird. I don't think I've ever seen that before, because you haven't. Yeah. That's the point. It's a new world, which means that the Bears are going to win a lot more games. They're going to play a lot more meaningful games. That's what this leads to, right? I'm not saying they're going to win it all this year. That's never been the expectation. I don't know where this season's going to end up. If I did, I'd make a lot of money, right? Like that's we're not prognosticators, but it sure is falling into place like we've talked about it. So I think there's a lot to feel good about. Winnable game next week. We got the Giants at home. So let's see where this team
against
is.
the run. They can't stop. They're worse than the Bengals are against the run.
So let's see where this team is in a week. Hopefully it holds serve, and we'll have this conversation next week, and maybe start getting into some even more exciting conversations as the weather turns, daylight savings time, it's getting colder, all that fun stuff. But stick with us. I think we're having a good time here, and we'll see you next week. Until then, bear down. What do we got?
Our guy Axel right off the bat. This is really not the same old Bears. What a way to win. There's a new feeling in every game. We are not out of it until the end. Anything can happen. That's true. They're winning in different ways. Caleb at the post-game presser at the field level, he had an interview, and he talked about it. This is really the first game where the offense had to bail everything out, right? We've seen the special teams step up, right, with the big Moody kick. We've seen the defense step up before. Caleb has had game-winning drives earlier in the year, but this is one where you really had to have it. Like, waning seconds, you had to make a play, and the offense came in and bailed it out. And, yeah, they're winning in different ways, and I don't know how any Bears fan is right now like, why is the bar here when it's Chicago Bears offense? When you have not – look, I'm probably older than most people that are listening and watching. You guys watch – you've never seen anything like this. Be excited. Jesus.
No, I mean, the last time the Bears had like a really good offense relative to the rest of the league. And don't give me this 2018 BS. That was a lot of smoke and mirrors. But I mean, they had a great running offense in the 80s, with that offensive line and Peyton and Anderson and all that kind of stuff, but not overall like great offense, like, I mean, again, great rushing offense, best in the league, but probably not overall. You got to go back to the 1940s when they were, innovating the first innovation of offense, right? I mean, that's that's a long time ago. Like you said, none of us saw that live. None of us were in the stands for Sid Luckman. And if you were and you are listening to this podcast, please step forward. I would like to have a conversation with you, because that sounds awesome, but that also sounds impossible. It sounds like you're going to be like 98 years old. So yeah. I don't know, man. Like we don't need everybody to come along with us. Let me put it that way. You know what? Like, it's, if you're not with us, that's fine. Like, but and I think that's kind of the point that I'm getting to with some of the fans that are always negative. Like, all right, whatever.
Chris, Bears offense was outstanding. It feels so good to type that. It's been a long time. I mean, you talk about when's the last time it was good. You mentioned 2018. It was okay in 2018. Matt Nagy, that was a fun offense to root for. But if I remember correctly, they were middle of the pack, right, when it came to the
smoke and mirrors. The defense was awesome.
The defense was incredible, which is not what you can say this year. Mark Trestman had a nice run. Josh McCown slinging the ball all over the place. But as far as sustainable offensive system football, offense, defense, passing game, running game, this is it.
I think it's sustainable.
Yes,
so
Ben Johnson.
We're replicable and all that. So,
did you see Darnell Wright's cartwheel?
I did. I have visions of the Lamar Houston tearing an ACL after a sack when you like do something like that. But like you made the point to me, which was, well, this guy's an athlete, and so are you going to be that surprised if he's the left tackle next year? And the answer is no. Like, I mean, if the plan is to, correct me if I'm wrong, but Penei Sewell played right tackle his rookie year and then moved over to left, right?
I think he was left in college and he went to right in the pros.
But is he now the left, or is he
still? I think he's still right.
Still right. Okay.
I think
he struggled. He struggled with that.
You may be thinking of Joe Alt, another outstanding young offensive.
Well, definitely Wirfs. Wirfs started off on the right, and then the Bucks moved him, and like after, I mean, they won a Super Bowl worst rookie year, and then they moved him to the left. I think his third year. I don't think it was his second year. I think it was his third.
Some guys can do it, right?
Right. And so if you're athletic enough, I mean, the report on Wright when he came out was like, he's a right tackle. Like that's what it is. But he may have committed himself. He's a good athlete, and like maybe the situation is they think of him differently here, and maybe Ben Johnson knows enough to be able to do that. So
yeah. We got a little breaking news here. Ravens traded for Titans adds Draymond Jones for a 5th-round pick. It's good to see the values coming down, right? If you're going to trade for those edges, because I don't want to see the Bears drop a 2nd or 3rd round pick on no one. Let's keep those down. Go day 3, maybe a swap of picks to go get a guy. But
yeah. I see some Trestman talk in 2012. It's
a fun offense. It was good,
Bad defense, but
yeah.
Chris, I'm fine with leaving Darnell at right, but what's your plan at left? Right, yeah. Like that's the problem here. And if it's because
it's Ozzie, yeah. That's the reason. When you drafted a guy that you tried him at left, it didn't work out as a rookie. Right. So your 2 probably most talented tackles are both primarily right. Someone's got to make a move, unless you go out and you spend big money or a draft pick on a left tackle in the offseason. And then now what are you doing with Ozzie? Is he going to be your 6th lineman going in motion?
So that is a real premium that you paid for that. Yeah, I see a comment about a Dunze. I mean, bad game. And that wasn't in the game plan here. Probably more of a decoy we really went back in the all-22 because
three targets he had.
Yeah,
one was from Cole. He probably should have had. Probably should have
definitely
caught
should have
the
had
end
that.
zone.
Should have the one in the end zone, even if it wasn't a perfect ball. Those are the type of things that good players make. But to me, it wasn't enough for pointing it out as a cold bull.
He blocked his butt off too.
That's the thing too. Is like he's still in. He's still bought in. It's not like he was like pouting or anything. That's the thing about Rome is, I think Rome's like total team guy.
Did you see the stuff with his dad floating around?
That's why I say that. Like, I don't think Rome thinks that. Like, I think Rome's happy that they won. I think Rome's happy to be out there and contributing how he is. And like, he's been targeted the most on this team, and he has one game that he's not targeted much and doesn't do anything. And we're gonna start throwing flames. Get out of here.
Did you see Ben Johnson when he was asked about Rome? Was he being targeted too much? I think it was 2 weeks ago, right? Did you see Ben Johnson's response was? That's why I mentioned earlier, but he has primaries built into every play, and he tries to have his call sheet so it's not always that. So he said, it just so happens on the games and the plays where Rome is the primary, he's getting open. So yeah, I want Caleb to throw to the guy that's open if it's your primary. If that's number one and he's there, let's hit him. Because what we want to hear fans say, you got to play on time. Okay, well, playing on time means hitting Rome if he's your number one and he's open. You can't have it both ways, right? If he's there,
I mean, I didn't know if people were complaining that he was targeted too much. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, it's insane the things that that they come up with.
That came from the beat. That was a beat writer question.
Well, I mean, someone on the beat suggested in a tweet today that maybe Kyle Monangai had the best rookie running back game of all in franchise history. And I just thought, have you never looked at Gale Sayers' career? Because he scored 6 touchdowns as a rookie. Like, what are we doing here? I mean, so
did you see our guy? Did you see Larry Mayer? Our guy Larry Mayer had a tweet. 2 players in Bears history with 175 yards rushing and 26 carries. Kyle Monangai and Walter Payton is the other one.
Okay, well, that's a random poll.
Very random poll.
Yeah. There was another person on the beat. So again, you never can tell with some of these things, but there's another person on the beat, and I'm not gonna, you guys can find this if you want it, but who praising Joe Flacco for bringing him all the way back, and then and criticizing Caleb along the way, and then Colson Loveland bailing Caleb out of his game. And I just thought, are we watching the same thing?
I'm glad I missed that, because that would have pissed me off.
I mean, some people have their opinion, and then they're gonna shape what they see to that. Yeah. And
that's all that is.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure we do that to some extent. I try to be open and but overall, like I'm also cheering for these guys to make it. Like my base hope is that they do well, and that seems to be a decent way to approach life for me. It's glass is half full. It's you want to give these guys a chance to improve and do well, and if they don't, then you call it out, right? But to just write guys off because I keep hearing people say, well, the generational quarterback needs to do this. Like, why are we doing that? That's something a Vikings fan would say. That's something a Packers fan would say when they're criticizing, oh, I thought he was generational, so why isn't he done? It's like, stop. Like, it is what it is. That's draft talk. That draft talk is over. He's now here. He's developing. He's in the system. Like, just watch it, enjoy it, right? This idea of like, oh, he's not living up to what some people thought he would, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when he was in college. He hasn't lived up to that yet. Who cares? Yeah. Like his career, if he plays in the way that we think he's going to play, this guy's career is going to be 15, 20 years long.
Long way to go. Yeah.
Maybe we judge him when that's all done, right? I mean, Joe Flacco is still 41 years old, slinging around the yard with a sprained AC joint. These guys stick. Maybe we judge them for their career at that point. Anyway, all right, enough of that. we'll move beyond that. But I guess it was just a little irritating to like this cognitive dissonance of like seeing something like pretty great and then getting a flood of like a bunch of social media people complaining like, what is happening here? You know, and it's on the site. It's on, you know, it's hard to escape. So
It's okay.
all right, thanks.
That's why we're here, to keep it balanced.
Well, or at least bring people back from the abyss.
Bring it back.
All right. That's enough from us. Enjoy the football game tonight, and we will see you next week.